What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi, and I am coming with this stream now because one of my high kings has passed away. I just found out in the last however much time it took me to set up the technology to be here right now. And it's interesting because in the last, today is Tuesday, it might have been over the weekend, I wondered about her Belafonte. It crossed my mind, and I wondered if he had passed away. I knew he couldn't have because I feel like I would have known about it. And so I picked up my phone and I just spoke his name, and it said, Her Belafonte is, and then I didn't do anything after that. But if you do it now, I'm sure it'll say was. So I feel like I was given a premonition. And it's also important for me to do this piece and to sort of eulogize him, because I always proclaim to humanity that I'm possessed by those who came before me. I'm from the state of Illinois. I'm from Chicago. And I'm born in 1967. My mother was pregnant with me and walking around in this energy. And I firmly believe that that's one of the reasons, or one of the many things, that has produced the man that I am today. The cells of the body hold memory. And I am the incarnation of the passion and the anger and the frustration of my mother. I believe that. The time that I entered the earth, the energy that surrounded my entrance has affected me, influenced, dictated. And I've said to you that I don't know what age I was, but at some point I began to realize that things that I say and believe and think constantly, I would learn that someone, an ancestor, had said that. That's where I get my proclamation that nothing has changed, when I always say that so firmly, and because I used to always say I was born at the wrong time. I said that for many years. I'd march around the earth saying, I was born at the wrong time. I was born at the wrong time. I'm born at the wrong time. Because the energy of my people and any community or wherever I lived at any one time, just always felt like the people didn't feel the urgency of now, that everybody seems to be living in that everything is the past. And I'm speaking and feeling the same thing as my people, going back, back. And hold on one second, you guys. I'm just going to run the air for a minute. It's going to be one of those days, you guys, because it's hot here, and so I'm going to be doing that. But I'll try to keep my voice up when I'm running the air. So I come from that, and it's important for our people to remember that we've only been free since about maybe 2 years before I was born. It's another statement that gives credence to my proclamation that nothing has changed. White people didn't turn on a dime. They didn't, they're not going to, and they can't. So when I say that, it is the truth. You know, the civil rights legislation was signed in 1965, you know, but before that it was slavery, Reconstruction, you know, redlining, slave codes, Jim Crow, segregation, all of that, and then all of a sudden we'd believe that at 1965 it's all over. It's not. And you could also make the case, and I've heard it made, that technically we have not really been free since 1970 something, because I don't remember the number, but it's 1970 something. All the more reason why we are due and should be storming Capitol buildings and wherever else we need to storm, demanding reparations, demanding an apology, demanding whatever we can imagine, because we're owed everything that we would articulate. But Malcolm X has always been my ultimate king. But Harry Belafonte is right up there, because I share with him that sense of martyrdom, sacrifice, passion, defiance. You know, Harry Belafonte, and I'm going to show you some clips that I quickly pulled, but back during the heyday of his career, you know, he was a movie star. He was a calypso singer. Any of you guys that ever sang Deo, Deo, daylight come and we want go home. That's Harry Belafonte. One of my favorites is Jump in the Line. Jump in the line, rock your body on time. Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line, rock your body on time. That's Harry Belafonte. The history that he made, and barriers that he crossed, you know, back in the day, but also he was determined and dedicated to use his money that he made from his movies and concerts and entertainment and all that stuff, records, to fund the needs of the civil rights struggle. He did that. He did that. You know, I'm of that. I'm of that fraternity, but it also, I hope, helps you understand the loneliness that I feel. I don't know people like that. You don't know people like that. That understand is still a struggle, and black people should be pissed off. You should not have no white friends. There are no white allies. We don't need to have, we should not have any love for them at all. We should just be furious and disdainful of their very presence. And we're not. There was one clip that I wasn't able to find because I don't remember what it was from. But years ago, there was some panel, and Harry Belafonte was on this panel. And, you know, they'd gone to different people, and different people spoke as they asked them questions or whatever it was. And then they got to him and asked him something, and you heard a hush go over the whatever they were in. And as soon as that voice cracked through with the very first vowel, the place went up. They were waiting for just the sound of his voice. Just the sound of his voice. They were waiting for. Just forget whatever he's about to say. Before we even get to that. Just his voice. They were waiting. Wow. And I don't know what happened to his voice over the years, but even that was masterful because it fit his morality and everything that he had to say. You know, the authority with which he spoke. But I also wanted to do this because I wanted to underscore the fact that also plays into my anger of us not being angry and buying into this white fiction that things are different. White people are like a snake. Snakes don't suddenly get up on all fours and start walking. Zebras don't change their stripes. On and on you can go. And we're losing so many of our greats. And there'll be none left just with the passage of time. And we're not recultivating and reproducing any carbon copies of that. Meanwhile, white evil continues at the same level it's always been, because they are the devil, and they perpetuate their evil and their hatred. They do. They do. If you look at even the political structure, many of those people up there on Capitol Hill, you could go back to something from 1950, and the same people are still in somewhere in government. I pray for their deaths all the time. Die the fuck off. Die. At least. Because that's all I got if we're not going to do anything. Then I just have to pray for them to die off. While we're losing ours. And Harry Belafonte is another one. Another one. You know, this is a man who came from an era where if Colin Kaepernick happened in his era, it would have been probably an entire boycott of the NFL completely by all black people, players and non-players. Like, you're not going to the game, you're not buying any merchandise, you're not playing on the team. Like, shut it out. Shut it out. And until we see something big that we have accomplished as a people without any fucking white people, then and only then will there begin that switch that we should have anyway. You shouldn't need that. I never understand why people need to see something and not just have the inspiration and the certainty or even the faith of that. I never understand that. I don't need that. I don't need it. But when people see that, something, then it will be finally a dark day for white people and America. And a new day, a glorious day for us. I hate the time in which I live. I want to be in the thick of it. When Muhammad Ali is saying, fuck you and your fucking boxing. I'm not going to your Vietnam War. What? What? Take my license. I don't care. So what? That's the blood I like to drink. That's who I want to be around. That's what I'm made of. That's what flows through me. That's what I'm interested in. That's what's important to me. That's what has my attention. That's what's on my mind. That's what it's everything. And we don't have it. We don't have it. We don't have it. We don't have it. Meanwhile, people like Belafonte were literally risking their lives. Literally. And today, you can't get people to just even stop eating certain candy or drinking a certain product or anything. You are the worst you have been in the history of our people. That's a fact. You are the worst that we've ever been at any time in our history in this bitch. That's a fact. And the worst thing that ever happened to us, next to slavery, is integration. Worst thing. Because we would own all the music, all the entertainment, all the athletics. That would be ours. All fashion would be ours. White people would have nothing. And we would have had our industry and all the things that we did in the many thriving black cities that we produced across this nation after Reconstruction. Thriving. But we were amongst ourselves. And instead of massacring white people after they destroyed any of our towns, we began to become more and more docile. It should have been a massacre for a massacre. They come to massacre us, we go and massacre their shit. That's the way it should have been and should be. Even now, because police brutality is not police brutality. It's white massacre of African people. And so every time one of us is massacred, we should massacre their ass. So it hurts even more every time we lose a voice like Harry Belafonte, because for somebody like me, I feel even more lonely, more lonely. I feel like a voice screaming from behind a cotton wall anyway. I don't have power, I don't have wealth, I don't have an organization, I can't get you to fucking do anything or move. You're not inspired, you're just content with oppression and your day-to-day nothingness. A very healthy candidate to be installed in slavery. So a soul like mine needs to know that there are other voices somewhere, even if I can't get to them. So when we lose someone like him, it's a grave, it's another nail in my coffin, I feel, you know. But it's another nail in the coffin for all of us. Because the ones that are taking over, everybody that you see that represents you in media, in entertainment, in sports, in film, it doesn't matter. They're all weak-ass fucking people. Weak. And have not and are not doing a fucking thing. Here you had somebody like Harry Belafonte that was dedicating his entire income to the struggle. Yet I can't name, and you can't name, a single black famous person of any stripe in any area of fame or whatever that has or is doing a fucking thing for us at all. Not one. Not one. So I need you to understand what a loss this is. You know, if you've got, 8 wheels on a bus, we're down to about 2 wheels now. About 2 wheels, if that. This is someone who understood and believed and was convicted and understood that the only reason to have fame and money is to help your people. And he wasn't afraid to be bold no matter what the atmospherics. In fact, I think the clip I'll start with was some forum they had, and I guess it was back during it might have been the 2008 presidential campaign, I don't know, because there is sniper fire sitting up there and Obama, but it didn't matter. He still said what the fuck he had to say. He said it, and he said it. And he said something else there again, one of these moments where I'm holding something and didn't know that somebody said that. How many times have I said to you, there aren't 2 political parties in this fucking country. There isn't. There's one. They're just playing good cop, bad cop. That's it. And he says something very similar to that in this clip. This is why I know that the anger and the fury that burns in me, no matter how far I move away, it will still burn in me. It's not a fire that can be put out. The only way it can be put out is with vengeance and victory of our people. That's it. That's the only thing that will quell it. The other thing that I'm going to talk about in this stream today, among others, is finally Donna Lemon's bitch ass has been fired from CNN. But I offer to you another consistent theme from White Demons of why this happened. I'm going to come to that. It's a dark day, everybody. It's a dark, dark, dark day. Dark. Hold on, let me... Let me see now. Let me... bring you in. Hopefully this is working. Okay, this is the one that lags behind. I noticed that when I was watching the playback, like I've switched over and it's not switched over on there, but it'll be switched over on my phone, so I'm not understanding. Well, now it's dragging, so there's that. Wait, no. wait, we're the only people living in a fiction, you know? I mean, my existence is a disgrace. It's because my existence has been robbed, is what I'm trying to say, you know? Our existence has been robbed by these fucking people. There's no other decorum to have towards these people other than absolute fury and desire for revenge. I'm very clear about that. All right, this is apparently from 2005, Congressional Black Caucus Town Hall. I don't know how Sniper Fire would have been sitting up there, so not understanding, but whatever. After Obama and Sniper Fire do their stump speeches, Harry takes the gloves off. But this couldn't have been 2005. Whatever, they're saying 2005, we're just going to go with that.
Harry Belafonte, thank you. Thank you for a lifetime
Let me go
of
check the sound.
commitment and struggle. And it's, there is no one who has traveled as far in terms of being there for the people, not just in these great United States, but throughout the continent of Africa, Asia, Europe, throughout the Caribbean, and has never backed away from controversy. A man who is the 21st century's example of the great Frederick Douglass, who speaks truth to power. And you should know that we not only appreciate it, but we respect what you do and what you stand for, unbought, unbossed, and unbowed. That is unique in America today. Thank you. Mr. Belafonte, having traveled, you've been down to Louisiana, we've seen you, having addressed some of these issues. What do you want to appeal to this audience to do, and to America watching this? What do we need to do to make sure that the issues that we have witnessed over the last month are not allowed to disappear? What's our charge from you?
You know, the last thing Dr. King said to me before he was murdered was in my home when we were sitting planning strategy for the Poor People's Campaign, which was on the horizon of the politics of the day. That's why he went to Memphis. And in the course of that meeting, he seemed distracted and a little under-focused. And when we asked him what was the matter, Martin said, you know, I've been thinking long and hard about our struggle. We worked tenaciously for our rights. And the culmination of all that effort will be reflected in what we've come to call the integration movement. And I sit here deeply concerned that I suspect we're leading our nation on an integration trip that has us integrating into a burning house. I don't think we quite understood how pathetic that remark was. After all, we're in the midst of a very heady moment in our struggle. We're winning on a lot of frontiers.
Integrating us into a burning house because of what I've articulated. All integration did was enrich white people and give them more access to our talent, our intellectual property, our labor, our everything. We gained absolutely nothing but their white ass. And their bullshit. That's all we gained from integration. you understand? Just so we could sit next to their white ass anywhere to do anything. I'm over it. And that precipitated now why you could draw a direct line from that to even interracial dating. And every fucking commercial that comes on TV and every ad for everything is some white bitch with a black man. If this was still segregation, we wouldn't see that. And black men and black women would only have the option of each other. That's just another thing to highlight. Let's go on. But that's the burning house.
Bull Connor had been confronted. The bus boycotts had worked. Votes were coming. Even Lyndon Baines Johnson had been struck by the spirit and got up and talked about we shall overcome in the Congress. And
there's sniper fire.
Dr. King to have been in this
place
at a time when we seemed to be making great headway was a moment to pause and reflect. That reflection has taken longer than I had suspected it would, but it has certainly come to reveal itself fully when we look at the condition in which we find not only our world, but in particular, our nation. The wreckage that's taking place down in the Gulf region, the southwest part of the United States, is not the only wreckage that exists. We have a lot of wreckages around this country. And perhaps the most distracting and perhaps the most important wreckage to take a look at is really the wreckage of the Democratic Party.
Boom. He's saying that with sniper fire sitting right next to him. That's what I'm made of. That's what I'm made of. That's what I'm made of. I live for that. I live for that. Even when I stood in the doorway of the door of no return at Gory Island in Senegal, I made sure that the demons behind me could hear my indictment. Oh my God. But this is just an example. There's sniper fire sitting right there. And just to say no, notice this is all the bitch does. That's her, not just here, anywhere. If she's not speaking, the whole time somebody's speaking, she's the only bobblehead. Nobody else does it, just her. So I should point that out as well. Take it back and go on.
And perhaps the most important wreckage to take a look at is really the wreckage of the Democratic Party.
Boom.
Get him to the stage.
I've been a Democrat all my life. I have no treaty with the Republicans, nor do I really seek one. But the Democratic Party was not always our friend. As a matter of fact, a lot of what we had to struggle against was in the possession and the power of Democrats who came from the South. And when we showed them the tenaciousness and the conviction and the sense of great purpose that the people of this nation had into transforming our condition, all those Democrats from the South ran off and became Republicans as an act of punishment for what we were trying to achieve as a people. And that punishment continues to play itself out. Eleanor Roosevelt was a close friend. And once sitting in Hyde Park with her, she told a story about a great black leader by the name of A. Philip Randolph. He was one of the great giants of the century, certainly one of the great thinkers. And she recalled an evening when A. Philip Randolph had been invited to a dinner at the White House. And just he and her and the President, Franklin Roosevelt. And during the course of the dinner, the President invited Mr. Randolph to speak his thoughts. And for a long time, A. Philip Randolph held forth on every list of grievances he could think of for the people of the labor movement, for the people who were poor, for black people, and Roosevelt permitted him to hold forth without any interruption until he concluded. At the end of it, Roosevelt reached for a box of cigars, passed one around to Philip, and as he slowly lit the cigar, he turned to Philip Randolph and he said, "Philip, let me tell you, I've heard everything you've said. I've missed absolutely nothing. And there's nothing that you've said that I disagree with. And I do, in fact, have the platform to be able to make the transformation work that you're looking for, and I guess we're all looking for. I have just one request of you, and it is for you to go out and make me do it." It seems to me that there will be no loftier statements and no greater speeches to be made than have already been made. Certainly Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Fannie Lou Hamer down in Atlantic City when she challenged with the Freedom Mississippi Democratic Party. There are a lot of people who have made speeches that are as eloquent as will ever be written. And we've listened to a lot of redundancy. A lot of people who've carefully selected the phrases and applied them to the moment.
He's throwing high shade at Barack and sniper fire.
What eludes us is the bankruptcy of the action itself. This poverty that our country is witnessing has never gone away. Most of the politicians I know of have visited these places of poverty. They make it their business when they're running for the highest office in this nation to go into the heart of our pain, our anguish,
More shade.
our indignities, and make promises only to walk into the places of power and then deny us.
More shade.
I guess part of the reason I'm here is to really look through the ravages of the Democratic Party and see if anything is really worth salvaging.
Look, the girl's like, what? The shade.
Of course, when Dr. King said, we're integrated into a burning house, we said to him, what do we do about it? He said, we're just going to have to go out and become firemen. Well, maybe that's what my humble task is. To find the truck, get the hose, and know where to turn it on. This country reveals its moral decay every day of its existence. Our prisons, the largest prison system in the world.
One pause it there. When he says this country reveals its moral decay every single day. And to dovetail on that, I would add, this is why this is not a place of moral anything. You know, this is a crack house. You know, it's why I've given you the analogy in the past of when people complain about something that would be immoral or whatever in a society where, oh, all the rest of it's clean, so we shouldn't allow that. But it's a crack house. So it's tantamount to you going into a crack house and you're complaining that no one cleans the bathroom and the sofas are dirty and somebody's peeing in the corner. It's a crack house. So the moral decay, you know, it's supposed to be a Judeo-Christian nation. Judeo, which real Jews don't like that term. But it's supposed to be founded on that. We know it was founded on the backs of our blood and sweat and our talent. Because remember, white people didn't know how to build anything before we built it. And when you think about drag queens taking kids to bars and having them tuck dollars in drag queens G-strings and, you know, all this transgender bullshit and this gay ass rainbow bullshit and you know, um, um, guns, you need guns, but if you didn't, then that would also, it's still an immoral thing, but you need them. But just all the shit. There's no moral anything in this place. America should never associate itself with even the word morality at all. It is a total decay. There's nothing left. Not that there was ever any. You understand?
Our prisons, the largest prison system in the world, are filled with those who are the victims of poverty. The women who are disenfranchised, young teenage mothers, are victims of poverty. Poverty is knocking at our door all day long. It sits in the mirror for us to look in every morning. When we look at what's going on with the schools in this country, we build more prisons than we build schools. We have more young black men and women in the prisons of America than we have in the universities. Poverty is in our face all day long. Why is everybody behaving all of a sudden like this is some great revelation?
He is here? Are they both here right now?
And I'll tell you something, there's a lot of people out here who are really pissed off. We are angry, we're upset, we're sad, we hold our children, we wheel our wheelchairs, we look around for some comfort, and we don't find any. Well, we have to look to ourselves, because I think the last frontier of truth and hope in this country are the people themselves.
Look at the white devil sheepishly clapping. Very sheepish. That was like gratuitous. He doesn't really want to clap, but he's afraid to be seen not clapping. We have to notice that. And there's also a bunch of scared to death Negroes in the room too. You see, who also need to be fucking massacred off with all the other fucking people. They're standing in our way. But notice the sheepish clapping. Look, right there. Look.
And I think our honorable senator
It all matters.
is absolutely right. I'm not that much interested in '06. It's just another date for a lot of rich folks and a lot of anger and for a lot of opportunity.
When he said our senator, he's talking about Obama. Because remember, at this particular time, Barack Obama is in the U.S. Senate.
For a lot of rich folks and a lot of anger and for a lot of opportunists and a lot of people to go out and do their thing yet again. I'm interested in something much bigger, something much longer, and it's going to take much more time than just '06 to fix it. You know, we look at these things in terms of sound bites and short-term efforts. It's going to take longer than that. And I think we have to serve notice that we're looking for a second party. Some people suggested two exist. I say there's really one. It comes in various grades of difference.
Boom. That's affirmation, confirmation, whatever you need to call it. But I know that. But you see, certain things come out of anyone who is paying attention to anything. You know, if you're a mechanic, you speak a certain way about cars. So this is no different. So, of course, I would say that because I know that to be a reality. I'm somebody that pays attention. And here's this man saying there aren't two parties.
Notice that we're looking for a second party. Some people suggested two exist. I say there's really one. It comes in various grades of difference.
I just say they're playing this good cop and bad cop. But they all agree on whiteness.
The American people have some decisions to make. Our foreign policy has made a wreck of this planet.
Our foreign policy has made a wreck of this planet. Not the whole planet. You understand?
I'm always in Africa. That's my business. I move among the poor. I move among the tragic. I move among those who are the victims of human and moral disaster. And when I move to these places, I see American policy written on the walls of oppression everywhere. And I occasionally see some representative from our Congress or from our government coming to visit, coming to take another look, to get some more facts, to come back and to make a report. We don't need an independent committee to find out what happened and what is happening to this country. Our last independent committee told us. And Bush and the arrogance of these people to go off again and play the same scenario because they know that we ain't gonna make a difference before where they want to go has to be changed. We have to give them a call to a new awakening. We know when they give a contract, a no-bid contract to Halliburton, we know what they did when they gave that contract to Halliburton in Iraq. We know what they do when they suspend minimum wage and go out and get immigrants to come in and to do the dirty work. And in suspending the minimum wage are setting black people and brown people and immigrants and men and women against one another when we should in fact be uniting. So I would hope that while the Black Caucus celebrates its moment, while we have all these wonderful black leaders and our white progressive associates.
More shade.
That we would get off the rhetoric, get off the redundancy, and dig deep into this country, and let George W. Bush, let the Christian right, let a whole bunch of folks that's running away with this nation know that their legs have just been amputated. I'll rest my case. Sorry for taking so long.
Filibuster.
As my grandmother would say, thank you, Reverend Dr. Belafonte.
Did you hear the cackle laugh of sniper fire? If you did, I'm sure that you just lost a tooth. And I thought it interesting or of value to read because I didn't know that he had supported Bernie Sanders. But again, the righteous, those of us who know, we know what needs to be done. So there was no other choice for any of us other than Bernard Sanders. That's it. This is what he had to say. Harry Belafonte says, now here we are in 2016, sitting down with Bernie Sanders. With the revolutionary turn things have taken in his campaign, given an opportunity for young people and for all people to have a choice to be able to turn America around and place it on a new course. There's more. That's why I've endorsed Bernie Sanders. I think he represents opportunity. I think he represents a moral imperative. I think he represents a certain kind of truth that's not often evidenced in the course of politics. It's very important, man. A little piece of me died every time I talk to any black people who were like, well, I don't know what Bernie is all about. Well, I don't know what you're about either, black bitch. I would suggest to those of you who have not yet made up your minds, or maybe even some of you who have made up your minds, to maybe consider and reconsider what it is that Bernie Sanders offers. And there's another little piece at the end that I loved. This is Bernie Sanders here in the sweater and the glasses. And the caption is, young Bernie Sanders speaks to civil rights activists at the University of Chicago. The other thing I want to say about Chicago, everybody, because it is the land from which I am from, is, you know, people always think about the South, the South, the South. It wasn't just the South. I knew this. I had been saying this for many years of my life. Wherever white people are, there is savagery. But certainly in this nation, wherever across this nation, it was just the same as it was in the damn South. Period, the end. And what many people don't know is that Chicago was more vicious than even the so-called South. Dr. King made statements that you can go and source and find and read for yourself, saying that it was worse than anything he experienced in the South. It was the worst. The worst, the worst, the worst. So all of that is embellished in the cells of my body. I just know it. I just know it. But when when John Lewis's bitch ass, thank God he's dead. When there he was, I never saw him. I never saw Bernie Sanders. I never saw him talking, because he was the authority of civil rights, and apparently he had cameras everywhere, even when there was no cameras. We've learned that John Lewis, by some miracle, had cameras everywhere and knew every single thing that happened in the civil rights movement. It was all John Lewis. He knew it. And there he stood at the podium with the bullshit, fake-ass black Christians proclaiming at the height of the 2016 campaign when he was running against sniper fire. I never saw him when he was asked about Bernie Sanders and the civil rights. But meanwhile, we had pictures of Bernie Sanders, even at the March on Washington. We have him there. Pictures. We have pictures of him chained to other black people going to jail for protesting segregation. We have the pictures and the record. Then you have this picture of him here at the University of Chicago. We know what Bernie did, but there was John Lewis's little bitch ass. I never saw him. I never saw him, but I saw Bill and Hillary Clinton. I saw Bill and Hillary Clinton. That's John Lewis. You see? Old fuckers like that dancing on the fucking grave of our oppression, continuing to hold us back. Bernie Sanders would have been a very good thing for African people. But but how many of their bitch asses stood in the way along with John Lewis, because he was the conscience of the Congress? Every time I say that, I lose another tooth. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. You understand? And there's one other graphic after this that they show. There it is. What did you do in the 1960s? Well, let's see. Bernie organized effective resistance to segregation and civil rights violations in Chicago, marched to Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech with thousands of other activists. We have the pictures. But what was sniper fire doing? Well, let's look. All right. As a young sniper firing bitch, she worked for Barry Goldwater, everybody. A friend to black people, I'm sure. His 1964 campaign, and Barry Goldwater voted against the Civil Rights Act. And that's the same bitch that was marching around in 2016 saying that black people need to be brought to heel. Fuck her. I'm telling you, we need bold, bold, bold action as a people. Bold. Like stuff that sends shock waves through white America and the entire country itself. Wait, no, it's 3 now. Okay, there we go. And it's just getting worse. It's just getting worse. And you can't make people see the urgency of the moment. Like, there's nothing else you should be thinking about or focused on. This should be front of mind. I want to now play some of a speech that Harry Belafonte gave at the NAACP back in 2013. He was being honored with a special award. He was introduced by Sidney Poitier. And this is his remarks. But it's also just a few things so you can see the consistency of his speech, where his heart was at all the time. Even in that piece we just saw, you saw the passion with which he spoke. It wasn't just words and let me try and be nice and respectable and shit. You know, you have to be defiant, arrogant, angry, you know, give a damn, like you here to upset. That's what it has to be. That's what it has to be. Let's see, 444.
Did you say almost a century?
That voice, man. I don't know what happened to his voice. I don't know, but that was a good thing. It just made him even more regal and more powerful and more something. It just gave him something else, man. Subhanallah.
Wow.
And just as a minor note, he just got better looking with time. Just seasoned. Subhanallah. That's a king.
Let me first start off by saying thank you to the NAACP and Angelus for the work you do and for the path you're forging for us in these troubled times. The group most devastated by America's obsession with the gun is African Americans. Although making comparisons can be dangerous, there are times when they must be noted. America is the largest prison population in the world. And of the over 2 million men, women, children who make up the incarcerated, the overwhelming majority is black. They are the most unemployed, the most caught in the unjust systems of justice, and in the gun game, we are the most hunted. The river of blood that washes the streets of our nation flows mostly from the bodies of our black children. Yet, as the great debate emerges on the question of the gun, white America discusses the constitutional issue of ownership, while no one speaks of the consequences of our racial carnage. The question is, where is the raised voice of Black America? Why are we mute? Where are our leaders, our legislators? Where is the church? Not all, but many have been the recipients of this distinguished award. Many were men and women who spoke up to remedy the ills of the nation. They were committed to radical thought. They were my mentors, my inspiration, my moral compass. Through them, I understood America's greatness. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King Jr., Eleanor Roosevelt, and others like Fannie Lou Hamer and Ella Baker, Bobby Kennedy, Connie Rice, and perhaps most important of all for me, Paul Robeson. He was the sparrow. He was an artist who made us understand the depth of that calling when he said, "Artists are the gatekeepers of truth. We are civilization's radical voice." Never in the history of Black America has there ever been such a harvest of truly gifted and powerful artists as we witness today. Yet, our nation hungers for their radical song. Let us not sit back silently. Let us not be charged with patriotic treason.
Let us not be charged with patriotic treason.
I thank my friend Sidney Poitier for stepping to the plate. I promise you, Sid, we'll never have to do this again. But my congratulations to all of those who are honored here tonight. And I will tell you that our kids, those who languish in the prisons of America, are waiting for us to change the system. Thank you.
Well, that's a king. That's a king. That's a king. But it also goes to what I say to you all the time as just a ongoing way of being for me in life is anytime you have an audience in front of you, you should give them something. But certainly as an African, anytime you have an audience in front of you, this is the issues you should be speaking about. You saw in the first piece, it's up there on a symposium, and you saw what he had to say. Here he is getting a special award. He didn't get up there and talk about him and his accomplishments and what he's done. We never heard anything about him at all. Because what is inherent to leaders and people of genuine passion is it's never about them. It's never about them. It's always about whatever the cause is. That's how one of the ways you identify true leaders. True leaders, they never make it about themselves. You look at Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. He never makes it about him. You want to know something about him, you're going to have to go and read about him. Specifically. He doesn't talk about himself. He does not aggrandize himself. This is the stamp, the mark of a natural leader, everybody, and a sincere leader. Always remember that. Always remember that. Always remember that. Always remember that. To one of the points that he made in that speech, when he said, you know, we have more, I'm paraphrasing now, we have more artists now than at any time before. And what he's basically saying is, where y'all at? To that point, I want to bring this next clip. Where he was asked about the goings-on with Colin Kaepernick. And again, it doesn't matter what day of the week you're going to catch him. This is what he's going to be saying. You know? But we need more African people to be in that space. I tell you guys all the time, the switch is always on with me. It's always on. It's always on. This is what we want here.
Mr. B, we have
And of
professional
course,
athletes.
it's no neck, Roland Martin. Okay, not sure what's happening.
LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony.
All right, this doesn't seem to be very loud.
Mr.
Maybe
B,
turn
we
the
have
volume and adjust. Wait, I didn't bring you in. Okay.
Mr. B, we have professional athletes. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony. They stand up at the ESPYs and they talk about athletic involvement, social issues. We have Colin Kaepernick, plays for San Francisco 49ers. He decides, I'm not going to stand to the national anthem. Being attacked all across the country. In fact, Mike Freeman wrote this piece for the Bleacher Report, came out on August 31st, where NFL front office executives said, he's a traitor. F that guy. I will quit if my owner asks me to sign him. There's no way I would want this guy on my team. If their comments are true, San Francisco cuts him, no team ever signs him. Does that become a chilling effect for the next athlete who decides to take a stand? And how should the public respond to these kind of anonymous comments from NFL front office executives?
To mute the slave has always been to the best interests of the slave owner.
Hear that. Boom. The timestamp is 1:19. That's how long it took Roland to set up the question and ask it. And that's what came out of him. We'll just hear that again. Oh. Oh.
From NFL front office executives.
To mute the slave has always been to the best interests of the slave owner. And I think that when a black voice is raised in protest to oppression, those who are comfortable with our oppression are the first to criticize us for daring to speak out against it. I think that it's a noble thing that he's done. I think that speaking out and making people aware of the fact that you are paying homage to an anthem that also has a constituency that by the millions suffer is a righteous thing to do. The fact that these people are having these, how dare you speak out against lynching and all of the things that that racism stands for, or the conclusions to racist acts permit, I think is a statement about America. I think he's a noble and a courageous man for having done that. Now, I say this with some history of my own. I was at the height of American success, hit records and movies and being rewarded by millions of people coming in attendance to the audiences that I played around the world. The machinery of oppression was always at work trying to discredit me, make me a communist, make me unpatriotic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it takes a lot of courage to stand up in the face of that onslaught, that reactive moment, and not bend to the wind. What I would love to see is I would love to see a few hundred other black athletes take that as a symbol. It doesn't affect the game. It doesn't affect the way it's going to be played. It just tells you a lot about what the people on the field are thinking in their every waking moment.
So you're saying you would love to see athletes today rally around him, like that group of black athletes, Jim Brown, Bill Russell, and others, when they rallied around Muhammad Ali?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, the black community, now let me go further than that. The American community, the citizens of this nation are beautifully enhanced by being exposed to the fact that there's this dissatisfaction and that there's something they can do about fixing it. And I think that what he has done not only comes out of a tradition of protest, but I think is one of the most important weapons we have.
But he also says this 44 years after Jackie Robinson wrote it. Jackie Robinson wrote, in his own words, in his autobiography, he said, he talked about that first World Series he performed in. And he said, he stood there and they were playing the national anthem and they were singing and the flag is billowing in the wind. And he said, as I write this 20 years later, I cannot stand and sing the anthem. I cannot salute the flag. I know that I am a black man in a white world in 1972, in 1947, at my birth in 1919. I know that I never had it made.
Not only was he right in a righteous way, as well as in a historic way, but I think that what Jackie Robinson did encouraged an awful lot of other players that came after him to stand with dignity and to stand with strength in the face of that kind of debate. I'm just sorry to see that more black people who have attained the level of success. I once said to a group of young black artists, I said, never before has America boasted of such a harvest of celebrity as we experience today across the boards. We have more black artists with hit records and in front of show business and on all the charts. We have black athletes up the yin-yang in almost every sport. We have so many where black celebrity is displayed that could make a difference. And yet never has there been such an absence of black celebrity voice in relationship to the problems that black people face today in a severe way.
Boom. 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 That's why we can't get excited about nobody no more for no reason at fucking all. You understand? Because I've said to you for many years, there are no firsts. Every time that, so-and-so is the first African person to do such as the first. There are no firsts. Because when there's a first, they get there and they do stuff in the interest of us. And they don't act like white people. You understand? Their presence changes everything. That's a first. My first official job worked at a restaurant here in California called Jack in the Box. Me and my sister that was 1 year older than me, we were hired and interviewed and hired on the same day. Nobody black had worked in that restaurant the entire 8 years it had been there. So when I got promoted to management, that crew began to look like me. I was the first black manager in that bitch. That made me a first because I did what should have been done. We don't have that. You don't have any firsts. There are no firsts, everybody. There are no firsts. You know, February, we just came through Black History Month, and every program on television during their commercial break, or they on the show itself, they'll highlight, we want to also highlight for Black History Month, so-and-so, so-and-so. They give you a whole readout of somebody that always looks damn near white. And then so-and-so, the first African-American to do such and such. There are no firsts. There are no firsts. There aren't any. You don't have any. There are no firsts. There are no firsts.
I am amazed at the fact that with Trayvon Martin and any number of people who have been murdered and who have been shot down and who are the victims of a certain kind of unrepentant racist behavior, that black people haven't flooded the streets in a greater act of protest to all of this that's going on.
In a greater act of protest, hear his words, in a greater act of protest, like not just that no justice, no peace bullshit, you feel me? It's time to rip shit up.
A. Philip Randolph once said, if you are comfortable with my oppression, then you are my oppressor.
That says a whole lot right there.
Kickstart your day.
And he's sitting there being interviewed, ironically, by no-neck Roland Fat-Ass Martin, who also is among the class who hasn't done anything for us, isn't doing anything. He's not doing anything. He hasn't done anything. Oh, this one's good, because this goes to that same understanding. This was new information for me. Now, when I talk about, you don't have any furs, you've heard me talk about in the past, I've talked about, you know, why I even wanted to start the Black Independence Liberation League is because we don't have any black organizations, everybody. We don't have any black leaders. You know, there's nothing. And then we find, and you guys remember, I think I did it live. I called the King Center because I want to know, where is Dexter King? Where's Dexter? Where is he? The one that looks exactly like their father. We don't see him anywhere for anything at all. Dexter King looks and sounds just like Martin Luther King walked out of the grave and said, "I'm back, everybody." Where is he? And I called the King Center live. I think I did it live on a live. And you heard the secretary I talked to. And I said, "Dexter King," you know, and then when I made her know who it was, she goes, "Oh yeah, you're right. She's at the King Center." And it was a light bulb moment for her. Yeah, where is Dexter King? Where is he? So fuck the King family, except for Dexter. And so, but now that's important because of what he's going to say here, what we learn in this piece.
It's very interesting. When I tweeted this issue, I said I'm going to be interviewing Harry Belafonte. It was amazing.
That the first thing I looked at.
It's very interesting. When I tweeted this issue, I said I'm going to be interviewing Harry Belafonte. It was amazing how many people responded by saying, ask him how he really felt and how he feels today about being disinvited to speak at Coretta Scott King's funeral.
Disinvited to speak at Coretta Scott King's funeral. Fuck the King family. Disinvited. This is someone who was a friend of Dr. King.
Somebody.
But they are also a bunch of pork-eating, fat-ass Christians who, like all black Christians, can easily be bought off and have fear struck into them by this white devil. You don't have the backbone. You don't have the commitment, and you have no standards at all. So this is indicative of that. So he was uninvited to Coretta Scott King's funeral. Go.
Ask him how he really felt and how he feels today about being disinvited to speak at Coretta Scott King's funeral. Somebody who he supported her husband and his family. It's very interesting how many African Americans across this country were offended by that invitation being pulled.
The first thing I felt, beyond being stunned by the act itself, but I soon got off that. The first thing I looked at is, where did we fail? It's almost the same exact question that I asked Nelson Mandela. Where did we fail to pass off the baton? Where did the King family, where did Martin, Coretta, and the rest of us as the extended family fail in being able to protect and to care and to help guide those kids towards another level of social embrace?
I'll tell you where they failed. And maybe it wasn't even such a failure, I would say, to our king, if I could have spoken to him on this issue and heard him say that myself, that it wasn't necessarily a failure, that it was, well, if we're going to take the full pathology, it's Christianity. That is number one, because of what it does to the soul of African people. It steals away from you your fear of God. It steals away from you, like Christians don't have any fear of God. There's no fear of God in the Christian. They don't walk around talking about fearing God. I don't know a single Christian that talks about fearing God. It also takes away any code of living. So anything goes. There's nothing you're going to stand firm and say, I will die on this rock for this. Don't come right here. And so you have white whisperers. The King family has been by the nature of who Dr. King was, even though he was the most hated person by white people on earth at the time that they murdered him, and the U.S. government has admitted that they murdered Dr. King. You can go and see the congressional record on that. But because they have been put in this high esteem, and because they're just fat pork eating Christians, they're self-serving. You saw the one whore, there she was in the Oval Office with Trump, and she was stroking his arm the entire time and all hugged up. At one point he had to kind of like push her off. It was just too much for even him. I forget which fat bitch she is, but I brought you guys that video. And so people like that are easily seduced by money. But you can also make an easy threat on them. I'm a Muslim. There's no threat you're going to make on me that's going to stand, because I fear only Allah in the last day. What you got? You don't have shit. You don't have it. But with a fat pork eating Christian, you have that power over them, and the fact that they're elevated. So they're on speed dial at CNN and MSNBC and Fox and all the the congressional members, and they know all the people in the top places in the society. They kind of have a VIP pass because they're Dr. King's children. They're the King family, and so the seduction has come in. They don't hate white people, so I'm sure they got a lot of white folks. Some of them might even be married to white folks, for all we know. I don't know the whole family and the extended grandkids and nieces and nephews and stuff. I don't know, but that's where it comes in. That's where it comes in. And as I've said to you many times over the past, you don't know a single famous person that you see up representing or speaking for or about, or that they're harassing or doing anything to, that is Muslim. You don't have it. You don't have it. You don't have it. You don't have it. Everybody that you know and can name and have ever seen are all some version of a Christian. That's very important, whether you like it or not. That's important, and it's essential, because it's one of the building blocks of the character and thereby the state of our people. Because you don't have any real fighters. You have a whole congressional caucus up on Capitol Hill. Where was them to hold their vote on everything and say, no, not until we get a damn reparation check. Not another study, a check. A check. You see, or anything, We're still waiting on a anti-police George Floyd policing bill. Nobody is doing anything that's in any place of anything that's black. Nobody. We don't have even one. Like Harry Belafonte said, we have what was his words? That we have such a basically just an embarrassment of riches, really. Like we all over the place. Like never before. And there's a stunning silence like never before. They're not doing anything and they're not saying anything. But anyways, that's my hypothetical answer to his rhetorical statement there, I will call it.
Social embrace, social activism that would have made them behave differently. And my great question was, how did the movement fail Dr. King and his family by not being there for those kids when they were molding and making up their ideas on what they wanted to do, when their time of maturity revealed itself?
Well, I'll answer that. Because they didn't have any voices like mine around them to say, you know, fuck all that, we're all the same and we should overcome bullshit. You understand? You take a stand. These people are the enemy of our people. They're the very people that killed your father, etc., etc., etc. And they could have been put into a different mental coordinate that would have brought about a different fruition. Do you understand? There was Martin Luther King Jr., the third, the fat fucker. Remember when he was at Trump Tower? It was either right before Trump was elected or when he was running or right after he was elected, something. And remember, I did a whole video on that. A lot of people were throwing daggers at him then because there he was, you know. Yeah, these are just aristocratic Negroes in high places that are only there to lick the ass of white people, everybody. We need to be very clear about that. And as I said, in the last couple of days or whenever, you know, even this thing with Angela Bassett, that she didn't win the Oscar. Fuck you, Angela. Too bad you didn't win the Oscar and we don't care. Because what can you show us that you've done for us? You don't have it. You don't have it. So why are we giving our allegiance to these people, everybody? How long has Angela Bassett been famous? 30 years ago was What's Love Got to Do with It? And she was famous before that. So she's made the money. We don't have anything from Angela Bassett. We have nothing from her. We have nothing. We don't have anything from her or any of these other people. So we're supposed to be in a bunch when Angela doesn't win the Oscar? I'm not. I'm not. So what, Angela? So what? Too bad. Get over it.
When the time of maturity revealed itself. And I still wonder what we could have done differently to have them behave differently.
Are you sad to see the siblings fighting each other and being in court?
It's more than sad. I feel a deep sense of loss. And I feel somewhat responsible.
Just recently, MLK III, in essence, was removed.
That's the fat walrus that I just cited coming down the elevator with Trump. MLK III. Go on.
As CEO of the King Center. They put his sister Bernice in as CEO. Was removed as CEO of the King Center. They put his sister Bernice in as CEO. He then stepped down.
I think Bernice is the fat bitch I hate the most. Can't remember. I have to see her.
The following week as president, and he gave conflicting views. So while reading your book, you talked about being on the board of the King Center when it was first established. And you basically said, not only it didn't lose its way, it started off that way. And I always like to go back to when something goes wrong, can you go back to the beginning? Do you believe that constant drama today is a result of it not having its firm roots established when it was started?
Absolutely no question about it. For me, what was clear with the way in which the board was being instructed and the way in which those who controlled the environment were headed was to not only idolize Dr. King, turn him into a deity, but was to create a temple of worship where they would constantly be at the center of the homage being paid. And I said, I don't think...
Hear that? They were trying to set up so they would be the focal point and being as though. I didn't know that. Hear that. That's important.
Worship, where
Just
they
a
would
second.
constantly... idolize Dr. King, turn him into a
Just a
deity.
second. We have to go back a little further for context.
Drama today is a result of it not having its firm roots established when it was started?
Absolutely no question about it. For me, what was clear with the way in which the board was being instructed and the way in which those who controlled the environment were headed was to not only idolize Dr. King, turn him into a deity, but was to create a temple of worship where they would constantly be at the center of the homage being paid. And I said, I don't think that's what Martin would have wanted. What I saw was clearly an institution of activism, rooted in the community, rooted in poverty. If you want to have a crypt where the poor access it very easily. Have instructions coming from the halls of reflection and analysis and study with scholars and whatnot that helps you continue the rebel cause, helps you continue the change that was meant to be by what Dr. King had done. I think it's all right to give dinner parties and black tie affairs and give awards for the lifetime achievement and all these titles we put on things. But for this moment, to have not been clearly a place of study that prepared young minds to continue the cause of the need of the struggle was for me a great loss. And once I saw that there was an entire board of people handpicked by the King family to just further their image and to further the cause of their power base, I just said, there's something wrong with this.
Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro, I thought he was a whiz. I saw in him
that
a
was
lot
the
of...
main thing I needed from that. I get the Castro thing, but I don't think we really need it. Yeah, we don't need it. Yeah, we don't. All right. All right, this one I don't know if I need it. Yeah, I don't know if I need that. This one I need. Last one. This one I need. Because of the, again, Christian folks that benefited, that were seeking to benefit off of the civil rights movement, to profit.
The present
70s. Points that you made in the book when you talked about that period in the 70s, really the late 60s, when SNCC began to become extremely radical. Black power, want whites out, forget what the civil rights movement was about. And you asked the question in your book, where is that next generation of leaders? The folks who followed in the footsteps of Dr. King, Abernathy, Andrew Young, Hosea Williams, Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer. And you made the point that they are more concerned about getting their own financial fruits as opposed to having that consciousness of the previous generation.
The present generation and a generation or two even before them, we were hugely preoccupied with reaping the harvest of the struggle that those of us were engaged in trying to change the game. And in a way, we were responsible because we wanted our kids to go to school, we wanted them to get degrees, we wanted to get into the mainstream.
And not to have to face adversity.
That's right. And not to have to face diversity. And a lot of them took us at that, took the call, because a lot of them did not want to face diversity. They went off and did things that were very self-serving about getting rich, having a position that gave them material power, material acquisition, and that became the game. And when I looked around at those of us who had been in the struggle, I noticed that in many instances, a lot of the very people who were at the apex of the revolution, of the struggle, soon became the very things they set out to defeat. I know a lot of leaders in the civil rights movement who became very powerful businessmen, who became very rich. A lot of the children of those men became people who just got to Wall Street and got to business, and that's all they did. They said, we don't need to do that, you all did that, it's another day. Well, the truth of the matter is that you do need to do that, and it's not another day, because as long as there's poverty, there's going to be struggle, and as long as struggle exists, somebody has to be there to help with that struggle overcome the tenets of poverty.
In your book, you also offered some advice to artists. And you talked about their responsibility and how they have the voice, the platform, to address these social, cultural issues. Assess this generation of artists, black or white, and are they as involved as you would want them to be?
You see, before I even get to this, you see, because I'm very, scrape the bottom of the bowl. So, you're talking to Harry Belafonte, black civil rights, black liberation, black freedom, black all. There's no need to infer fucking white people. The whole thing is about us. Again, you saw that artists, black or white. For what? You see what I mean? That's how you're not 100% on the fucking goal. You're not on it. I'm trying to give you something that can be more tangible for you, so it really comes home. You're dating somebody or you're married to somebody, and every fucking thing you do, they mention their ex. Now it's 20 years you've been together, but they still mentioning the ex. You're like, so wait, why are you mentioning the ex to me? You would feel like they're not really fully invested in you. It's a problem. You feel what I'm telling you? I don't know if that's the best metaphor, but that's all I got right now. This is that for me. It's worse than that. But why would you add that? That's infuriating to me. Because it's even when we're in our own spaces with just us, you got to bring up they bitch ass.
As involved as you would want them to be on some of the critical issues facing this country and this world.
Wait.
Issues. Assess this generation of artists, black or white, and are they as involved as you would want them to be on some of the critical issues facing this country and this world?
You see, and that's also a phrase that would never have been anywhere in the lexicon if there had never been integration. You only talking about us doing for us. That's it. That's all we need. Fuck white people for everything. You understand? I'm just trying to help you understand how layered it is, everybody. Just even that was just a quick little statement, but it matters.
From my perspective, by no stretch of the imagination can I say that the cultural community, the arts community, is anywhere near a commitment to doing things about changing the pain that exists. And a lot.
By no stretch of the imagination can I say they're anywhere near having an interest in changing a damn thing. We'll just hear that again.
This world.
Hear this.
From my perspective, by no stretch of the imagination
By no stretch of the imagination. This is here Belafonte talking.
can I say that the cultural community.
Can I say that the cultural community, like the arts and the famous people,
Arts community is anywhere near a commitment
anywhere near a commitment, anywhere near it,
to doing things about changing the pain that exists at a lot of different levels socially. My mentor, Paul Robeson, once said to me that it was a great adventure that I and others were embarking on. So when I was quite young, Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee and Sidney Poitier all listening to our mentor speak when he came to see a play that we were doing. And he said, you know, artists are the gatekeepers of the truth, are the gatekeepers of truth. And it is through you that people are going to be instructed about not only where they came from, but where we should be going. And I think if you look at great art, if you look at art that is in the service of social need, you'll find that the greatness of literature, the greatness of the fine arts, painting, all those things came from men and women of consciousness who tried to better the plight of human beings. In that context, I've often looked upon the power that we have in what comes out of celebrity. When I first went to Japan to sing, and I found myself before 50,000 Japanese trying to sing the Banana Boat song, I really understood power. I said, my God, here I am in a strange place with a bunch of people that I didn't know anything about except adversarially because of the war. And I said, here they were singing my song. And what do you do with this platform besides harvest money? How do you use this platform to impart a sense of our common humanity? And I think art that does that has been art that serves us well. And in my generation, we had a large number of people that stepped to the plate, whether it was Bob Dylan and Joan Baez, or it was Richie Havens, or it was Josh White, or it was Lead Belly. I mean, a litany of people. Sidney Poitier, all the actors of the period that did what they did. It's always about moving the human family ahead. And I think that artists have that power, and they have the obligation to sending out information and to giving ideas and thoughts to people that will help enrich them and get them out of the quagmire in which we find ourselves.
If we draw a line, we can draw a line from Robeson to Belafonte. Who do you connect or hand the baton to? Who can we draw that line with present day? Who is following in your tradition, who is following in Robeson's tradition?
I think there are a number of artists, not just in America, but in other places in the world. I've seen a lot of artists out of Africa that I admire greatly because they get that message. They are creatures of social thought. I find a lot of people who nobody's heard of that I find singing in the rap culture, and I find the rap culture the most problematic for me because I think there was a form, a cultural dynamic that took place that was rooted in social protest, that was rooted in the message. And the minute somebody came along with the jingle and they saw that they could wrap gold around their necks and that the culture could go someplace else, we lost our path.
So you
again, because you don't have any, well, you wouldn't have any Muslim rappers, but just righteousness in general, everybody. You see, you know, why black masculinity and black male fashion has gone to the drag queen corner now, and why there's no more, you know, Eric B. and Rakim. There's no Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. You don't have, even in hip hop and rap, you don't have messages anymore, because like he said, somebody came along with a jingle and realized they could wrap gold around their neck, and that was it. You know, if you don't have something, this is why I'm fortunate and why I respect others that I rarely ever see, but there's a very small fraternity of people on this earth that don't give a fuck about anything materialistic at all. There's no bundle of money you're going to be able to bring me to change my moral and principles. It's just not happening. I may find some way to take your money and jack you, you feel me? But, you know, there's no, something I just saw, I don't even know what it was. It was those three little sissies. One of them died recently. Migos. It's three women. It's three. I think it's the Pointer Sisters. But there they were on some red carpet, and I can't remember it well enough to tell it to you. What I'm just trying to say is that you don't have just anything goes, man. We don't have anybody to snatch anybody back and say, nah. You know, nobody's doing that. Hip hop that they said was, you know, white people hated it when it first came about, and they wanted nothing to do with it, and now there's, you know, they act like they're so in love with hip hop. You know, but we should have never allowed them to get their hands on it at all. There should have never been a Vanilla Ice. There shouldn't be a fucking Eminem. Why wasn't he killed in his sleep somewhere? And Dr. Dre or whoever the fuck put him on. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm talking about real vigilance, everybody. A no-nonsense stance, you know, in the society and on the earth for African people, where everybody knows, don't try them at any level. Frustrate the fuck out of them so they know, don't even conjure against us, because it's not going to work. Don't come right here. Don't do it. But you leave the door open for everything. All of it. So I love that he cited that there. We'll just hear this last.
I find a lot of people who nobody's heard of that I find singing in the rap culture, and I find the rap culture the most problematic for me, because I think there was a form, a cultural dynamic that took place that was rooted in social protest, that was rooted in the message. And the minute somebody came along with the jingle and they saw that they could wrap gold around their necks,
which would be a Zionist fake Jew,
and that the culture could go someplace else, we lost our path.
So you saw that period where rap music was sort of like folk music, the music that you really got yourself wrapped into.
Rap
the songs
music
of the
is folk music,
right?
Because like my friend Donna McGee would say, it has to be folk music, because I never heard a horse sing. Folks sing. Folks
right.
tell this. And what I found with the young guys up in the Bronx, Melly Mel, Africa Bombada, et al., were guys that came in protest, and instead of taking a 44 and blowing your brains out and shooting one another, they decided to get together and challenge each other to a cultural dynamic. That was a very healthy step for young people to take. But the merchants saw an opportunity to exploit this for gain, for profit. And
the merchants would be your Zionist fake big noses.
Corrupted the process.
Yeah. Now it's all corrupt. It's all corrupt. And what's the state of Kendrick Lamar these days? Because wasn't he supposed to be like the Messiah for about 5 minutes? it was all about Kendrick Lamar and oh my God, and he's the most critical album, and he's just, and you know, you know. Okay, one other thing, and then I want to come to you, and then we want to go to Donna Lemon. I want to do something else, get an official statement about the passing of Harry Belafonte, do a summation, come to you, and then do Donna. Um, yeah, we don't need a long piece. We'll go with the Daily Mail. Just because they usually have all the receipts for everything. And anything. Okay. Harry Belafonte, dead at 96. Barrier-breaking singer and actor, best known for the Banana Boat song and Jump in the Line. Turned civil rights activist, passes away at home in Manhattan. American singer Harry Belafonte has died of congestive heart failure at the age of 96, his spokesman has confirmed. The civil rights icon was pronounced deceased at his home in the Upper West Side of Manhattan with his wife Pamela by his side on Tuesday. Belafonte made a splash in Hollywood in the 1950s, becoming a star with his hit song Deo, the Banana Boat song, and Jump in the Line. The success ultimately led to leading roles in films like Carmen Jones and Island in the Sun. But as he became more and more of a household name, Belafonte started to speak out against the racism he experienced in Hollywood, as he described himself as a singer of music with roots in the black culture of American, and ad popping up in your fuck face, culture of American Negroes, Africa, and the West Indies. And there's some images of him when he was younger. I think he got better looking, actually. There he is with Dr. King, and so, but the fat ass pork eating Christians wouldn't even let him speak at Coretta Scott's. He was uninvited from her funeral. Fuck the King family. A little bit more. Following the news of his death, Senator Bernie Sanders hailed Belafonte as not only a great entertainer, but also a courageous leader in the fight against racism and work oppression. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump also tweeted, through his extraordinary contributions, including his notable advocacy for human rights and social justice, he leaves an indelible mark on this world, said Ben Crump over a plate of catfish, I'm sure. And fat ass Bernice King, the daughter of Martin Luther King, can't read this because I'm going to get mad. Okay, we heard he passed at 96. It was congestive heart failure. That's what happened. You saw it. You read it. All right, let me come to you. fix this knee, Jesus. Jump in the line. Rock your body on time. Okay, I believe you. By the way, anybody, if you ever saw the movie Beetlejuice, they play that at the end of the film. Shake, 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 Sinora, shake your body right. Shake, 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 Sinora, shake it all the time. Jump in the line, rock your body on time. Okay, I believe you. I love that. Ah, okay, fine. Now, let's see. Okay, if I can get this thing to do what it... Okay, are we this way or not? I'm over it. Cheryl Bryant, a big shout out to you, Queen. Simply Sandra, I simply love you. And also, San, thank you so much for your generous donation to the fundraiser for our mosque in Africa. For anyone who does, thank you for your... Can I say? Or you don't want me to say? Tell me if I can say. For those of you who don't know and those of you who have ignored, the link for the GoFundMe is under this video, as is the Cash App. And you can go and you can watch the video and read and know why we're asking for your donation, everybody, for this mosque. You can just give $1 if you want. You know, whatever you got, you give that. But don't just not do anything. That's one of our other many problems. Damn. Okay, we're all broke. None of us here are wealthy, I'm sure. You better not be. But that's what makes it even more... Okay, what's happening? That doesn't look like what I see. But I know all of us got at least $1. So let's do that, everybody. I don't know how you could hear somebody make a plea and then you just don't care. I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand that. Like, even if I didn't have it, I would feel bad at least. Like, there would be something evoked from me. Something, you know? So thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much. Cheryl, you say yes. Donna Lemonade got her, I'm saying her ass fired. White supremacy always breaks their tools. I have another working theory along with that. Black Beauty, always a big shout out to you. Hello, Jedi and the Black Oval family. San, that's to Cheryl. Shoni, 12, shout out to you. And good afternoon and evening to everybody. That's to San. San, you say, Jedi, I got some news about my sister-in-law, Vicky. Gotta tell you about it. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm prepared to hear whatever. I'll just say that. Yeah. And, what's today? Tuesday? It's... All right, if we don't get it in today, San, then what am I doing tomorrow? Maybe tomorrow. Cheryl, you say hello to the foundational Black African family in the chat. Then that's to Cheryl. Sean Scott, a shout out to you. And also, Sean, thank you for your contribution to the fundraiser as well. I appreciate you. Your 3 or 4 contributions I think you've made. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You say, what's up, Jedi? What's good? My beautiful melanated family out there. Just heard the bad about Harry Belafonte. May he rest in peace. Yeah, that's the first thing I did when I learned it. I immediately made a long prayer for him first. That's the first thing I did. Was made a prayer. First thing. First thing. Son. Peace to all in the chat. Kiara. Big shout out to you, Queen. Anjane. Big shout out to you. Jedi, I knew you were going to say Donna Lemon. I started to text you when I found out and say, you know they fired your girl, Donna, right? I wish I could have just worked at CNN for just that day and then somebody come and tell me and then I go, I'll go tell her. And I go, Donna, you in danger, girl. You know. That's one of my favorite lines from a movie in history because I literally went to see the movie Ghost because, you know, when they played the promo, Whoopi said that in the promo and the promo killed me. So I'm just like, I have to go see the movie just so I can hear her say that. Whatever else the movie was going to be. I needed to hear that. You feel me? And so when Patrick Swayze's character is murked off and he's coming back to Molly because they're so in love, and it's Demi Moore, and so he's channeled through Whoopi Goldberg. You know, she can hear him, and you know, you got to tell Molly she's in danger. They're coming to kill her, and she's in danger. She's got to leave this apartment. She's got to get out of here. You can't just tell that. You can't just tell that. I'm gonna tell her my way. Molly, you in danger, girl. It's one of the most classic lines ever uttered in a film, dude. Molly, you in danger, girl. Damn it. Son, you say rest in power Malcolm X and Harry Belafonte. Yes. You know, you just wonder where we would be even if Malcolm had lived. You know? You know, and we're not actively going out and killing anybody white. Why? And they're digging up our people from the past and shit and doing all kind of shit. And we don't have any answer for their shit. None at all. None. None. Son, you go on to say, you are absolutely correct, King. Jedi, we have no friends with them demons at all. At all. And as I try to tell my people, if you have somebody white do something nice for you, that's not from them, that is from the one that created you. So give glory and thanks to Allah that He made them your footstool in that moment and press on. But the problem with our people is you get caught up thinking, ooh, you're just looking for them to be good. So any little thing they do, they are good. Ray Supreme. Big shout out to you, brother. You say Harry Belafonte visited my high school. Oh, I'm jealous. Wow. What an honor, man. What a privilege. What an experience. And you notice when Roland asked him, you know, do you have any, like, whoever inspired you, who do you point to that's coming after you? And you see he kind of was just diplomatic on the answer because there's nobody he could have just pointed to affirmatively and said, this person right here, that's the one. You feel me? Because there's nobody. And he doesn't know me. So who's he going to point to? You know, there's nobody in fame or that's known that he could have pointed to. Kiara, he reminded me a lot of my grandfather. Same voice and everything. Wow. Wow. Yeah, his voice was just, it was just, I don't even know a word to describe. It's just magic. That's not, that don't even say it. It's just like, it's very commanding. If he says it, you do that. Andrea Smith, big shout out to you. He was an icon, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm glad to know that when Roland said that there was an outcry, because I didn't know about the Coretta Scott thing until today when I sourced that video for you. And I'm glad to know that there was an outcry from a lot of African people that apparently that called it some bullshit. But we should have any more love for the King family, everybody. We should just, they mean nothing at all. Because they're right up there with the John Lewis class, you know. You're getting all this clout as being these historical people, but you're not doing a fucking thing. John Lewis was the conscience of the Congress. Then you should be able to use that power and say, I'm the conscience of the Congress. Then y'all sweat me so much, then we want this legislation and we want this. And I pointed out to you, he never introduced a single fucking bill, ever. The entire time his bitch ass was up there. Good, he's dead. Good. I'm over it. And same with these damn king ass people. They could use their clout for something and they don't. Other than to stand in the way of our progress. Because there they were with sniper fire. They weren't with Bernie. I don't even think they were with Obama. I have to go back and look at that. Don't call me on that. I don't know. Andre, you say facts. The worst. I know what that's referencing. Kiara, that's right. They knew integration would benefit them ultimately. Yeah. And even the ones that really didn't understand that soon came around to realize, oh, my lunch counter makes more money now. Woolworths makes more money. Whatever you want to name. Well, we make more money now. The niggers get to come in here. So they treated you like shit, but they wanted that dollar. Even the bus system to this day, there's been no formal apology from the Department of Transportation to African people in this bitch. So the bus, you only sit on the bus where you want to now we realized after we were united, before there was integration, when they realized, when we held firm and said we're gonna walk, we're not gonna take your bus. If Rosa can't ride, then goddammit, none of us will ride. But you won't do that today. You'll go right past my bitch ass trying to stage a protest with a fucking carload of white people. You'll do that. So that's have to kill you and the whole fucking carload. You along with their bitch ass. Because you're a problem too. And you're the worst of them. That's what we're faced with, everybody. You try and get anything off the ground and you got too many damn Negroes holding you the fuck back. It's, for all these damn school shootings and shit going on, there's a lot of good targets that are just being left alone. Kiara, our people were blind and are blind. Anjane, I appreciate Harry saying murdered. Yes, thank you, Anjane. I almost was going to point that out. Before I read the rest of it, haven't seen it. You're talking about when he said Dr. King, right? Let me read. And not passed away or something else that doesn't properly indict white people. Wallahi, I was going to stop it and say that when he talked about, when he mentioned one of the clips we watched of Dr. King being murdered, that he said murdered. He didn't say, you know, was assassinated or when he was killed. He literally said murdered. And I was going to point out that mattered and it meant something, but I didn't want to be too micro on you guys. But That's why you my sister. You understand what I'm telling you? Man. Gary Taylor, shout out to you. That was a stone cold mic drop statement. Must have been the C-SPAN piece. Son, you say powerful words from Harry Belafonte. He was a powerful speaker, man. He could just speak and move you. Cheryl, I'm back, Jedi, on a brief break from work right now. Whoa, what time is it? Nobody should be at work right now. You go on to say salute to Chicago, hometown of our one and only Jedi. That's right, South Side, homie, Cook County Hospital. Sandra, John Lewis was the coward of Congress. Thank you, I love that. Because like I say, if I don't like you in life, I don't like you in death either. I don't change. Couldn't stand your ass when you're here, good, you're dead. And the theory was that the last, whatever it was, when Obama and a bunch of other people, they walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and he was so stricken with whatever he had, I think he had cancer or something, he came in a darked out Suburban with the security and all of it, and it was a whole thing. But, I just thought, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Because I just think that, we all have a responsibility to us, but you are John Lewis or anybody of that ilk, and you have some position, recognition, status, whatever you want to call it, is of the stream at the most recently available time. I don't know what that means. Just they're all cowards, man, and self-serving. Now the other person that should be marked for a sniper's rifle is the fucker from South Carolina, Sokolata, see, when I hate you, I forget your name. I forget the names of people I hate. It'll come to me, inshallah. But he needs to die. See, here we're losing Harry Belafonte. We should be losing somebody else. You see, the wrong people are dying. Everybody, it's the wrong people. But I love that, the coward of the Congress. That's perfect. When does your shift end, Cheryl? Allison Bleb, shout out to you. What did Hillary and Bill even do, though? What was John Lewis talking about? They didn't do a fucking thing. Not a damn. They weren't there. They were off somewhere burning crosses, no doubt. You feel me? And being the southern racists that they are. But let John Lewis tell it. Yeah, no neck Roland Martin, because he has no neck. Wasn't he married to a white woman? Are you talking about John Lewis? I don't know. I never saw his spouse. I don't know. Sandra. That's to Allison. But you say, I thought that Dexter King's wife is white also. I don't know. Because I don't know where Dexter King is. We don't see him. I don't know anything about him. That's my gripe. Chris Holt, a new name I don't recognize, but shout out to you. Jedi, so happy to see you back. You need a way bigger platform than what you have. We need your voice in mainstream media to cover these issues. I appreciate that vote of confidence, Chris. And I could tell you, well, I don't know how long you've been around, but, I used to have 23,000 subscribers. and my viewership was nearly 5 million views on the channel. So a lot of people have been exposed to me in some degree. But it is one of my frustrations. You know, I would like to be, you know, in my early days, one of the things I criticized was when I came to YouTube, I saw these people who, you know, the Tariq Nasheed and the Tommy fucker, and I mean, there was just certain names that I immediately knew, oh, these are big people, you know, and I was immediately disgusted that there's no movement. No movement, no anything. They just, you know, there's no passion, dude. You know, even Fat Ass Phil, when they do something there, it's just because they stay on the stuff that's dramatic and it's gonna just, they're just chasing views so they can have their fucking YouTube button behind them and shit. We gotta be over fucking people like that, dude. But that's what happens. That's the shit that gets elevated in society, in life. Righteousness doesn't prevail. The people who, the righteous don't ever win, and it's a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing. And then on this channel, I can't get my people to share my work. They don't thumbs up. You know, I got no cooperation. It's just like, why do I exist? And I don't have any of this to do. I'm not here for me at all. That's what kills me. That should be abundantly clear to anybody who's ever seen me. Like, I can't, dude. I can't. But thank you for that vote of confidence, though, Chris. That means a lot to me. Son, please pray. Do not say Jedi. I don't need no shine. Just want to help. Okay, I thank you, Sean. Son, I appreciate that. You are so warmly welcome, and on behalf of the community, I tell you, thank you so much. Do you get my text this morning? I did, but the way this phone, because I told you guys I lost my phone before I left for Africa, and this phone is just, I can't. So the way that it even sets stuff up, like even my alerts or my, alerts, it's you, and then there's others, because I got it, and so, but I'll get it. Yeah, I hate this phone. Where am I at? Anjane, Donna, you in danger, girl. Yeah. As I come to Dania Davis, shout out to you. Spot on commentary always. You're one of the best in this. I don't know that word, Dania. Chotai. Thank you though. Shoni, another shout out to you. My Nana met him in his younger years. Wow, alhamdulillah. And then Dania, you say, greetings Jedi, apologies for the retracted comment. Intended brilliant commentary always and much appreciated in this chaotic world. Thank you for sharing you're one of the best. I thank you for that so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm humbled by that and gratified. All right, I want to come to Donna Lemon, but I want to preface this portion of it by saying this, everybody, because one of the other things that made it worthy for me to even address it is because apparently Tucker Carlson was fired at Fox, and Donna's firing came out of nowhere, is what I understand so far. We're going to read, we're going to watch some stuff, we're going to find out. But I always tell you, it's us and them. Just like there's not but one political party in this bitch. They're just playing good cop, bad cop. The media all fucking agree. So to get rid of Tucker, who is a thorn in the ass of black people, they do the numbers, they watch the demographics, they know. So that would have been seen as a win for us. You understand? Ooh, they got rid of Tucker Carlson. But we can't allow you to have a victory. Fire that nigger, Donna. Tell her to take her high heels with her. You see? That's my theory out the gate. We're going to read and we're going to see if I'm just completely in left field and I don't know anything. All right. But that's what I theorize. Because why would you fire Donna? Why? I'm glad she's fired. But why is she fired? You know. I don't need a reason, so I'm being rhetorical, but I'm just saying, like, good, the bitch is fired, but why is she fired? You know. And also, this is also a good thing because one of the things that I would notice about Donna Lemon, you know, when you watch her show, she's very comfortable, you know. Like, what I know from my own life, I don't care what kind of job you work at, we don't get to be in any job and just completely be at home and just like it's all fine now. White people can slough off at a job. You go to jobs and you have one hateful white bitch there and all the other white people, oh, that's so-and-so, that's just how she is. She's just like that to everybody. No, I'll kill the bitch. She's not like that to me. You know, I told you guys the story of, I worked at one of the law firms I worked at in D.C., Rothwell and Fig, intellectual property. And the bitch's name that hired me as the executive assistant to the senior attorney